2021 forecasting for each individual rising sign. I would just like to start with a general overview. And I'd also like to start by thanking the Almighty God for protecting us and helping us through 2020, as He will continue doing for us moving forward. Now we will see a shift towards more online schooling, shopping with the North Node in Gemini, as we've seen happening already in 2020, including most forms of communication, trade, other businesses and online businesses will become the norm. Cash will be less heard of, and eventually moving more towards the past and digital forms. So for most of 2021, we could be experiencing some uncomfortability as we have a difficult square aspect in the sky between Saturn in Aquarius and Uranus in Taurus, both fixed signs that don't really want to budge, and both are co-rulers of this beautiful Aquarian age that we're moving into now. And they are not in a harmonious conversation, and therefore we can expect that this is going to take more work and will take more time before the idealistic Aquarian age can be reached, so to speak. We will have to contend with much more restrictions of our freedoms. We'll have to contend with restrictions that will include freedom of speech on all platforms, probably, information, the internet, separation, probably new legislation in regards to aviation in general and flying. Of course, a lack of privacy goes with tracking, as well as alliance integration. And really it is the old versus the new, and we will see many rebel and stand up for their rights, and we'll also see a lot of disciplinary action and fining throughout the year. It's very much an order out of chaos energy, so I don't want to pretend like this is going to be this amazing year. Of course, there will be blessings. It's very seldom in life where we only have good or only have bad. There's always a mixture of the two, and it'll all depend on how we approach our obstacles. We'll be forced to be more creative and to find new possibilities and to connect to the higher vibration of God. We will probably learn to live more moment to moment and to really appreciate the little things, to appreciate the family, our family that's around us that we normally take for granted. And it will be good for us to stay in gratitude of the things that we do have and do the best with what we can and what we do have, and to focus on nature and on the sunrise, to remind yourself that God is still in control and that the truth is steady and secure. And as long as you're rooted in the truth, nothing can sway you, and it doesn't matter what your circumstances or reality look like, you know where your roots are. So that will be very important throughout the year. And we will be moving towards living much lighter and more flexible. It will be wise to be prepared, and also to really look where you can be of service and of help in the community as well, and how people can help each other. I recently saw in Marketplace a lady that started a group that just basically gives things away. So it's people that maybe they didn't lose their job, and they still have an income and they're still okay, but they have maybe some children's shoes that they don't need anymore, and instead of selling them, they're donating them, or they're just posting it and someone can come pick it up, hey, I've got a size 7 this or that. And people are really starting to come together and help each other out, and I think we'll be seeing a lot more of that. And your currency is really going to become your talents and skills and the things that make you unique. And if you can sew something and someone else can build something, and you can trade services and you can trade things, we're going to see a lot more of that happening going forward. We'll see a lot of ups and downs, like I've said in my previous video as well, of the financial world. We're looking at a global recession for a long time. This is also a time where we will become more aware of each other's similarities and connectedness than each other's differences. And we will be more focused on our purpose and the contemplation of the deeper meaning of life and the deeper side of life. And that'll be more the order of the day. And Jupiter will bring in much learning and also guidance from above to help us navigate through this grief period of the loss of the familiar. And it will allow us to tap into the Creator's energy and make lemonade out of lemons. And through that, we will establish amazing connections with like-minded people, with our Creator, and there will be much spiritual blessings coming from this year going forward. So let's begin with your individual rising signs 2021 forecasting. Welcome, Cancer rising, Sun or Moon. Please listen to your rising sign first, as this will give you the most accurate placement in the forecast. Let's start with the area in your chart where Pluto has been since 2008 and will be until 2023 in Capricorn. And this is your 7th house. And the 7th house deals with your partner, your spouse. It can deal with a lawyer, a niece or a nephew, the public. It can even be a marriage, a close relationship with a business partner, agreements, lawsuits, etc. Now with Pluto transiting through here, this is a long transit, and Pluto usually starts his transit a little bit more intensely. It can be difficult at times, but it needs to transform darkness into light. So it is working with the hard stuff first before you see the good stuff, usually, with Pluto transit. And of course, it differs from person to person and chart to chart and all the other things interrelating to this. But your relationship and partnerships will be going through profound changes through the transit of Pluto here. You could have a profound encounter with someone very powerful, or someone that has a very powerful effect on you that really changes you permanently on the inside. It can destroy a relationship that is not sound. But it can be a difficult time for you to get settled in regards to a relationship. And on a subconscious level, it's as if you're looking for someone to really transform your life and to really make a big impact. And sometimes there can be a crisis related to Pluto transits. So it could be something that happens that profoundly affects you in this area of your life. But the people you encounter during this transit will be mirroring your inner psychic impulses. And this can trigger you in a good or a bad way. But the people that are involved here are teaching you something. And you need to own your part in it. You want to learn the lessons in this area in order for you to transform your life for the better. But you're ultimately getting rid of something old, something that needs to be let go of in order for you to move forward with new and with regrowth. So you're letting go of either a person or an old pattern, relationship pattern. You're letting go of a part of yourself in regards to close relationships and commitments, and you're turning a new leaf in that area of your life by the end of this transit. But it will be shadow being transmuted into light. So it will be a beautiful end product. And then let's have a look at Neptune. Neptune is in Pisces and has been there since 2012 to 2025. And it is in your 9th house of in-laws, grandchildren, strangers, travelers, the house of foreign interests, foreign countries, higher learning, universities, legalizing, publishing, metaphysics, religion, the law, philosophy, teaching and teachers. And with Neptune here, it can really stimulate your interest in spiritual growth and higher consciousness, but it can also confuse your outlook in this area because it can blur the distinction of you and others and even the world itself. But this is a time where you want to allow yourself to be ignorant, because eventually the fog will clear. But this is a long transit, so you might not find yourself in fog anymore. And Neptune just recently stationed direct as well, so you should have more clarity in this area. But you will want to understand your relationship to the universe and to Source and to God with this transit. And you'll start realizing that everything is connected and that we are all one. And it's only our ego survival that confuses us. You can really learn to be grateful for your lessons here. It's important that you don't think that you know everything with this transit. But overall, you will be much more intuitive. You'll be able to have prophetic dreams with this transit. You will be much more compassionate towards others. You'll be very spiritually attuned. And if you've never been that way, you will most likely be delving into those depths with this transit in any way, and wanting to have a bigger understanding of everything around you and how it all connects. And it's important that, like I said before, that you don't get to a point where you think you know everything, or that you're completely, unwilling to look at other people's perspectives and views, because this can cause you to actually lose people as well. It can sometimes also cause some fog in regards to studies, or maybe what you want to study, or you might have trouble concentrating sometimes. But this will not be the case for the entire transit. But there can be periods where you might feel it's a bit harder to concentrate, or things take a bit longer with Neptune here. And then Uranus will be, or is in Taurus as of 2018 until 2026 in your 11th house. And this is your house of friends, unbonded relationships, co-workers, your company's money. It's also politics, memberships. It's the area of hopes and dreams. Deaths in the family can show here. It's the area of legislation and so forth. And with Uranus here, it can be that you have new hopes and dreams for the future, or you might be changing and revolutionizing your ideas of what you'd like your future to look like. You might be very rebellious in regards to this, not necessarily in a bad way, but wanting to, really go for this unconventional life that you might be planning. You might be attracted to new friends and new people that are much different than you, or that you don't normally hang out with, might come into your life, and they can challenge your old way of doing things. This can also be in your work environment, like coworkers. It can be someone that challenges the way you always used to do something. But you can have a lot of new experiences in this area. And sometimes there can be upsetting situations with friends and so forth. You can maybe feel like you want to exit a group that you've been affiliated with, or you are not aligning with a friend anymore the way you used to. So it can be also a cutting of friends here. So the groups that you belong to become a challenge. And money and material situations can fluctuate with Uranus and Taurus. So it's important to not have your eggs all in one basket and to be flexible financially. It can also indicate, that your values and friends are changing. The nature of your work may change with Uranus here. Maybe you're using more technology in your office, or you're using digital financials now and not paper money anymore. It can be new computer systems, or maybe now you're being moved to work online. And initially, this can be upsetting changes. But just because it's maybe coming to you unexpectedly, or in a way that you weren't expecting. And then let's have a look at Saturn. Saturn will be in your 8th house of Aquarius as of December 2020 until March of 2023. And your 8th house deals with the tax collector. It deals with wills, inheritance. It deals with alimony, taxes, bankruptcy, injuries, losses, debts, death, surgery, your spouse's income, shared money with others, intimacy, past trauma, and joint finances in general. Now, with Saturn here, it can heighten your personal detachment. So you might find that you are a bit blocked intimately as well with your partner. There's a bit of a block. You might not find yourself so intimate during this time. It can be hard to communicate with others. You might be more serious than normal. But it allows impartial objectiveness. So if there's troublesome issues or issues in regards to shared money or investments, you'll be able to look at it from an objective point of view. Your approach is more rational and not as emotional with this. But it can stir up opposition because of an unconventional view. So you can also experience acceptance or rejection here with your peers, as well as your partner or people dealing with these issues with you. But it brings into focus finances and possessions, especially that is shared, and great transformations that you've been through in your life. And you might feel that you're coming to terms with other people's values during this transit. You might find that you are needing to live without certain types of financial support. Maybe you've had alimony or some kind of government assistance or something that's now being stopped, and you don't have that coming in anymore. It could be sort of an end to that or a block to that, or maybe you're applying for a loan and it gets denied. Or it's just a very lengthy process, a lot of red tape to go through, or an inheritance that's taking really long to play out, and so forth. You might also be experiencing that you're thinking about death more and the end of life more, and your own mortality and life after death. The 8th house deals with deeper thinking like that. So it could also be that you're committing to a form of studying this on a deeper level. But you will be thinking about how the experiences in this area of resources and joint resources and money will affect your dreams and goals in regards to the future as well. But it's very important to try and be independent financially during this transit and be flexible enough, if it's possible, for you to not depend on others' resources. As you know, you could be having to deal with not being able to access that during this transit. But of course, this is not for necessarily how it can play out for everyone. This is different for every chart depending on your natal placements. I'm just giving you sort of the worst case scenario of things that you could possibly expect, sort of thing, so that you're expecting anything. All right, now let's have a look at Jupiter, who will be in Aquarius in your 8th house, as Jupiter also enters Aquarius December 2020 and will be there until around the 20th of November. It'll be in Pisces for a short period between May and June, which will be in your 9th house. But in this case, it's going to enter into your 8th house, where Saturn is, that I just discussed with you. Now, with Jupiter here, it brings a lighter, brighter side to this house. It can in some cases indicate inheritance. If other transits support it, it can mean benefit from others in unconventional ways, possibly. Maybe you win money, or you get a refund of some kind, or something comes in that you did not expect, or it can be some kind of blessing. It is a good time to pool resources when Jupiter is in this area, but you might find still some resistance because of Saturn sitting there. But it is a good time to join in a partnership or a business partnership of some kind, if that's what you're thinking of doing. It is positive for loans and for assistance financially. But remember that once Jupiter moves out of that area, Saturn will still be there. So if you're getting some kind of assistance, you don't want to make yourself too, relying on it too much, because eventually Jupiter is going to move out of that house. And depending on your chart, who knows how that'll affect you. So you want to make sure that you are ready and more independent financially. This transit of Jupiter can have a really positive effect on healing psychological issues from the past. It can bring religious and spiritual regeneration. Friends and children can play a role in healing as well, or in support, even financial support, or just spiritual support. on a very deep level. You might feel more idealistic with Jupiter here, and you want to change your life and the world for the better, because of the healing that you are experiencing. You might be more broad-minded, and you might feel that you're more tolerant with this transit and more leaning towards humane issues as well with Jupiter here. And you might really come to profound spiritual revelations with Jupiter coming into this house. You want to watch for freeloading though, because Jupiter will make you much more compassionate and caring towards others. And you might want to donate money to charities or to help others. So be careful. Don't be selfish, but don't be careful of not being used during this. As Jupiter is in Pisces, it can make you extremely compassionate. In a positive sense, it will expand your spirituality. You'll become more self-sacrificing. You'll be able to reach really deep spiritual resources, and your perspective on life will expand. It can also bring in travel opportunities, learning or teaching opportunities. You might find you reading a lot more. And you're looking for real and useful knowledge. An important person could come into your life that's got a powerful effect on you, also in a spiritual way. It's not necessarily a priest or a teacher. It can be a normal human being that just has a profound wisdom to share with you in some way. But you'll be wiser after this transit if you open up to it. And not allow yourself to be blocked by a self-righteous attitude. So you will not only be expanding your understanding of whatever it is that you believe and the world around you, but you will be able to back it up more with factual information. And then Mars will be transiting into your 11th house of Taurus on the 7th of January. And your 11th house deals with friends, co-workers, business, financials, for the company maybe that you work for. It's a son and daughter-in-law. It's your hopes and dreams for the future. It's your memberships, your political affiliations. It can show deaths in the family sometimes. It can also be in regards to legislation and regulations and so forth, and licensing. But with Mars here, you'll be able to formulate goals and pursue your goals more, working towards the future. You will need to, or you will be prompted to work probably cooperatively with others, but this can be a bit difficult with Mars in this area, because team action is required, and Mars can sometimes tend to want to do things independently. So you'll need to watch your cooperation, balance your and other people's interests. You might be looking for people to work well with in a team as co-workers. You could just be spending a lot of time working on some kind of financial project in regards to your career, or it can be some kind of altruism. But you will have more practical direction. It strengthens your determination. It might be a slow start, but it will be purposeful. It's definitely linked to money making and material gain. Remember, there will be fluctuations financially, because Uranus is in Taurus, and then Mars comes into that area as well. But it doesn't mean that you need to stand back from other people. Teamwork will be required. So work with them and just be more aware of others' interests as well. And while Mars is there, it will conjunct Uranus. That's in your fifth, that's also in your 11th house. And while it is here, you can expect sudden changes in the business's income, for example. You can expect sudden changes in regards to coworkers, your goals, your hopes and dreams. Sometimes this can indicate a death in the family. There can be a sexual attraction to a friend or to someone in an alliance of some kind. There can even be a friend that you feel you're sort of cutting bonds with, or a group that you're cutting bonds with. Maybe you want to jump ship. This can also manifest in sudden outbursts of anger, or even accidents. So just be aware of that. And then Mars will be in, and before I continue, it can also mean that you're starting something in regards to, you're starting a new group. You're starting some charity type of community endeavor where you're making a difference in the world. It can be the initiating with Mars moving into Taurus in this area. And then once it joins Uranus, there could be something quite unexpected happen. It's not necessarily bad. This can be something great. It depends on every single, like I said, everything in your chart. But this is just the general potential. And then Mars in Cancer, it will be there as of the 23rd of March in your first house. And this can emotionalize your physical drive. It can be difficult for you to stay objective with Mars here. You can be more sensitive to criticism. Your sex drive can be tied to your emotional needs during this time. And you might feel very busy. You're busier and you're more out there doing things. You might want to really show the world what you can do. But with Mars here, you can be a bit insensitive to others. So this can affect your personal relationships with your spouse or close relationships with business partners. So try to be sensitive to others' needs, but you will be willing to fight for your rights and your freedoms. You'll have you're much more energy than normal. You want to be careful of accidents and vehicle accidents as well with Mars here. Sometimes it can indicate a physical illness, or maybe just headaches or inflammation that flares up a bit more with Mars there. And then while Mars is here, it'll oppose Pluto in your 7th house at some point, and this is where you could possibly meet up with some kind of power struggle or resistance of some kind, maybe with a partner or the public, or even a niece and nephew, or a lawsuit of some kind. And this is where you do not want to go at this alone. You want to get assistance if possible. This can be emotional eruptions. It can be theft. It can be an accident. It can be something to do with you and your partner or a business partner. And you want to make sure that you avoid any violent situations during this as well. And then Mars will be in Leo in your 2nd house as of the 11th of June. And the 2nd house deals with your income. It deals with your values. It deals with your talents and skills and what you eat, your resources, your security, your safety, your property. gains and investments and so forth. So with Mars here, it can really, in Leo especially, it can really enhance your leadership ability and your drive and ambition and your confidence. Your urge to succeed will be much bigger. And you'll be more inclined to identify your ego with what you own or what you earn or what you can show the world, so to speak. You might be more argumentative about beliefs, or have ownership and property disputes. Be careful of impulsive spending during this. It can also indicate that you're using your possessions to get work done, or you are initiating a new business. Maybe you're starting up a business, or you're starting up a new value system or a new talent. Maybe you've always wanted to play the guitar and you're finally going to do it now. But you'll be willing and passionate in defending your values and wanting to make others understand them. But while Mars is here, it'll oppose Saturn, and this can block or slow down income from other shared sources. This can, be anything from government assistance to alimony to wills to bank loans, anything like that. It can be some kind of form of disciplinary action, but it can be just a regular conflict in regards to shared resources, or you could be maybe denied a loan. And this could be affecting close relationships with a partner or someone else. Sometimes it can indicate illness, or just slow you down in some way. So be careful of that. It can make you feel inadequate at times. So just be aware of it, that too shall pass. And then Mars will be in Virgo as of the 29th of July, and that is your third house. And your third house deals with your siblings, it deals with your relatives, brothers and sisters, I said that, neighbors, the postman, messages, it's communication, it's how you speak, it's your language skills, your learning, your mind, it's decision making, commuting to work, and so forth. Now with Mars here, it denotes efficiency and practical, solution-driven attitudes. Now, your sex drive can be a bit more suppressed with this transit and more diverted towards work, but you might find yourself very busy during this time, busy in the neighborhood, busy doing things with relatives and siblings, or very busy writing or doing clerical stuff. Your health habits and routines will become more of a focus. You can be more critical of others and of yourself, so be careful with that. But your tempo fastens, and sometimes this can also indicate conflict with your neighbors or your siblings and family. Sometimes it indicates you working on something with them. It can indicate also that working on something with them could even help with conflict. Or maybe that's the source of the conflict. And you'll be identifying with your opinions and ideas a lot stronger. So you'll be more inclined to argument about them. So be careful not to argue just for the sake of arguing. Watch your mouth with Mars here, that you don't put your foot in your mouth, or you don't say things you don't mean out of anger and reacting. But this is a good time for you to sell things. Like if you're selling a product or working in a field like that, this is a great time to do that. Your mental level is high and clear, usually with this transit. And then while Mars is here, it'll also oppose Neptune at some point. And This can be a bit of a push and pull energy, me versus them, giving and taking, testing your selfishness and beliefs. It can reactivate your thinking about work and how your work is in regards to your spiritual consciousness and the bigger picture. And this can really bring up a lot of belief systems. It can be that you're thinking about how your your spiritual connection with God is being affected by your everyday encounters, or it can be related to that in some way. It can also slow you down a bit. Sometimes it can bring in allergies. It can bring in a bit more of a sensitivity to pollution and things like that. And then Mars will be in Scorpio in your 5th house as of October 30th. And your 5th house deals with your children. It deals with pregnancy, speculation, love affairs, fun, creative projects, sport, the arts, entertainment, an advisor, and so forth. And with Mars here, you'll be more uncompromising and more determined. You might have activities that you're keeping secret during this time. You'll have a very powerful sex drive. And you'll be more demanding to be yourself and express yourself authentically here. You might find yourself wanting to have more fun or wanting to do more playful things. You might be more competitive if you're doing sports, or if you want to initiate a new activity, a physical activity. You might be, your sex drive might be really strong during this transit. It could even bring in a romantic love connection, or you could be really spicing up your love life with your partner. It can also bring in pregnancy. Be careful of conflicts with children, as well as accidents in regards to children, and a lack of discipline can be an issue here as far as wanting to play and not work. So be aware of that. It can also just be that you're very busy in regards to your children, or on a creative project that you are putting a lot of work into, something that you're starting yourself. It can even be your own business, but it's something that that you are doing by yourself and working on during this time. And while Mars is here, it'll oppose Uranus at some point, and this can bring out, again, unexpected events, an unexpected pregnancy. Sometimes, depending on other things, this can also be a miscarriage or something like that, or just unexpected news in regards to children or the area of this in your chart. You could strike out against someone else, or vice versa. You don't want to speculate with these transits. You want to really watch your spending, and you want to not be gambling or anything during this transit, because it can go the other way real fast. And just watch sudden events such as an accident or something like that in regards to children, or machinery and children, or having fun or some creative project in regards to machinery. You want to be careful of that. All right, and let's have a look at the retrograde planets for 2021. We will have Mercury retrograding in all 3 air signs. So communication and information and mental processes and media and all of those things will have a huge impact on 2021. And Mercury will be retrograding from January 30th until February 21st in Aquarius, which is your 8th house. And in this case, you might feel that you want to declutter some, past issues in regards to unforgiveness or hatred towards someone or some traumatic event that's happened to you in the past. You might be rethinking investments or shared resources, reassessing them, rethink how you share your money with others or communicate with others in an intimate way. Your intimacy could be coming into question. You could also be thinking about investing in digital financial endeavors, or rethinking about that. I wouldn't be starting any investment or starting anything new with the Mercury retrograde. So this is a time to investigate, not start. And rethinking your money in regards to maybe how you and your spouse spend your shared money and so forth. Or maybe you have loans or debt that you're rethinking and so forth. And then you might also have friends from the past or that come back into your life, or that spends time in your mind, that allows you to deal with issues from the past in regards to them. And then Mercury will retrograde in your 12th house of Gemini as of May 30th until June 23rd. And here you might have family and friends coming back into your life in some way or in your mind. You might be thinking or dreaming about them since it's in the 12th house. And you might be rethinking your relations to them and your maybe what happened in regards to them in the past. That's been something you've been really kind of repressing. You might find that you're not talking too much during this Mercury retrograde and that you're going more inward. You might want to spend more time in meditation and prayer, or with less friends than normal. And during this time, you might also endure some scheduling changes or rerouting in your commute to work, and so forth. And then Mercury will be retrograding in Libra, which is your 4th house of domestic affairs, from September 27th to October 18th. And your 4th house deals with parents, it deals with inheritance, property, your home mostly, your past as in your childhood and before you were born. And here you might feel you're decluttering your home or you're redecorating, but decluttering is probably something that you might consider, and just really even repurposing some things and recycling and bringing order in your home and, putting some things on Marketplace or on Kijiji and so forth. You might be rethinking close relationships. You might have some misunderstandings in the family or with parents. So make sure that your communications are clear. And you want to stay mindful and present as much as possible and write things down with a Mercury retrograde in order to not forget it. Be flexible so you can move with unexpected disruptions and so forth. And like any Mercury retrograde, in all of these areas of your chart, you want to be aware of your communication. Are you listening? Are you understanding? Did they understand you? Did your email go through? Should I rather call them directly and make sure it's happening? Be expecting that your credit card might not work at the till. Double check your paperwork if you're traveling, that you have your passports. Take pictures of stuff so that if you lose it, you have something Watch for stolen electronics. Watch for not buying electronics during a Mercury retrograde. Try not to sign any contracts or anything like that, especially if it's new. Same with tests. Sometimes it can bring on that you need to redo a test, and sometimes signing contracts can be okay if it's things that you've decided on before the Mercury retrograde, but I'd still not recommend it. And then let's have a look at Venus. Venus will be retrograding December 19th to January 29th. And she will retrograde in Capricorn. And this can bring up issues related to love, finances, old lovers coming out of the woodwork, or issues in regards to them. So you might be reassessing your close relationships, or your relationship with money, or a business partner, or just a close partner. You can experience misunderstandings and conflicts with them or with the public. And you could be evaluating your needs and wants in your relationship. You know, is there a balance there? Is there harmony? Are you giving too much or taking too much? Do you need to kick up the romance a bit? Where is this relationship going? Is it going to marriage? Is it going to divorce? Is this what I want? Those types of things. And then we will have Jupiter retrograding June 20th to October 18th. And this is a period of inner spiritual growth and reflection. And I actually think that much of 2021 is going to be a year where we're going to really tap into our spiritual side. And this will be happening in your 8th and 9th house. And with this retrograde, you will be probably much more compassionate, and the emphasis will be more on the meaning of life and the deeper, higher knowledge, and time in prayer will be probably much more important. You might question your beliefs. You might be rethinking study programs or a study course that you're in. It can bring in delays as far as paperwork is concerned, maybe even paperwork in regards to foreign travel or immigration. But it will take you more to an inner dimension where you're also looking at the bigger picture. And it's important to not be afraid of being emotionally intimate. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's maybe an important time to open up your darker side to someone else and allow yourself to go through that experience of still being loved regardless of your shortcomings, because you're human and everyone has them. And sometimes that vulnerability can bring huge amounts of healing. It's also a great time to seek therapy if you need that, and to forgive others. Spend time forgiving others. And then Saturn will be retrograding May 23rd till October 11th. And this will be in Aquarius in your 8th house of shared resources. And Saturn reminds us of reality and the aspects of life we cannot avoid, like the length of life, our taxes, regulations, restrictions, responsibilities, time, and so forth. And this is usually a time of restructuring. And you might be questioning your control issues. Are you giving or grabbing power? You might be questioning your alignment with someone, or with an alliance of some kind of group. You could be cutting someone out of your life, or you could be cutting some kind of control that someone has over your life, maybe financial control, or maybe it's sexual, or something to do with the past that is controlling you. And it can again bring up unforgiveness in the fact that you need to let go and forgive in order to heal and move past this. Now let's have a look at the eclipses for the year of 2021. There will be 4 eclipses, and the first one will be on the 26th of May. It's a lunar eclipse in Sagittarius in your 6th house of health. And this is usually an ending, a culmination, or a fruition, or a coming to a head of something in this area of your life. Now, eclipses work has a long influence. It's not necessarily that day. It can be a 6-month to a year influence, but it's usually around 6 months. And I will not be going into detail with the eclipses now, but please watch my videos and I'll be going into more detail with them through the year. But I just want to kind of give you an idea of what could be ending or beginning in these areas of your chart. So in your 6th house, this could mean, this can also affect an uncle or an aunt or a doctor, or it can be a co-worker or someone like a tenant or an employee. But basically it's something coming to a head or finishing in regards to your daily routine, your health habits, your orderliness, your responsibilities and duties. Something there is coming to an end. Maybe it's your schedule. It can be an illness that's finishing up, or a treatment for an illness. Maybe you've had chemo and it's going to come to a head now, and you're going to finish that off. It can also be a job that's changing, or a position that's changing or finishing off, or a project at work. Or it can even be an issue with an employee. Like I said, maybe, they're moving on to something else. Or you maybe have been taking care of someone. And you've been in some kind of caretaking responsibility that's now ending in some way. And then the 10th of June, there will be a solar eclipse in Gemini in your 12th house. And this is usually a new beginning, or a seed of intention, or a new idea, or a new leaf turned in this area. So this can be new information that you're getting through a dream. This can be new messages from God that's coming through to you, divine messages that's just, or information that's being revealed, new information for you. It can also be a form of studying or learning something in regards to spiritual teachings, or even music. Maybe you're you want to start playing the guitar. It can be sobriety, starting sober. It can be an adoption that you're putting into place. It can be a new beginning after you have let go of the past, because you now have a new understanding and you've gone through a healing period now and you're ready to move forward. And in general, the end of a self-sabotaging habit, or maybe which then allows you to move forward in a new way. It can sometimes indicate lovers. So this could be the beginning of a love affair, or some kind of relationship with someone that might be secretive. It can also be something in regards to a new beginning in a far-off place. And then the 19th of November, there will be a lunar eclipse in Taurus, your 11th house. And your 11th house is your friends, co-workers, the company you work for, financials. It can be hopes and dreams, politics, deaths in the family, legislation, and so forth. And here you could be ending group alliances or cutting off ties with a friend or a co-worker, or maybe a dream that was unrealistic and you're suddenly realizing it's got to be sort of wiped off the table now. It's unrealistic, or maybe this dream was appropriate when you were younger and now you've realized, it's not going to happen. I'm going to have to put my focus onto something else, or adjust my goals and adjust to this dream so that it's actually realistic and attainable. It can be the end of some kind of legislation that affects you, or rules in regards to coworkers or groups that you're affiliated with, or government legislation. It can be some kind of fruition or something that comes to a head in regards to memberships. Maybe it's a gym membership that's ending. It can also be in connection to your son and daughter-in-law, for example. And then on the 4th of December, there will be a solar eclipse in Sagittarius again in your 6th house. So your 6th house is getting hit twice. And this is a new beginning or a seed of intention in regards to your work, your job, your schedule maybe, your health. Maybe you are bringing in an exercise routine, or you're changing what you eat. Maybe you're not eating meat anymore, or you're changing doctors, or you're getting new responsibilities. Your duties are changing at work, or it's a new position, or it's a new office, a new look for your office, or just a new schedule altogether for you in that area. And for most of 2021, there will be an uncomfortable aspect between Uranus in the 11th house of Taurus and Saturn in Aquarius in your 8th house. And collectively, everyone will be experiencing the uncomfortability, but in your case, it's between your 11th and 8th houses. So you might experience some uncomfortability between these two areas. And this can even involve, your hopes and dreams and financing that. There's many possibilities that can play out, but either way, this could be a frustrating area for you in the next year. But this is basically the old versus the new. It's freedom versus restriction, and everyone will be feeling this in some way or another. Now, I would recommend for you, Cancer, the essential oil of rose, and also the rose quartz crystal. Now, rose essential oil has many benefits. It's also a hormone balancer, but I'm not giving you health advice here. I would ask you to also check contraindications and anything before you use it. But rose is a wonderful aphrodisiac. It's also very helpful in regards to constricted feelings or feelings and wounds that's been repressed. It's wonderful to promote compassion and cooperation and reduce tension and stress, and just increase a peace and love experience. And then the rose quartz crystal is wonderful for calming and bringing a cooling energy, and its ability to work on all the chakras, gently removing negativity and also reinstating the gentle forces of loving yourself and others, but especially for self-love and for forgiveness and healing. And it helps to bring over the message that there's no need for haste in any situation. It brings calmness and clarity to your emotions and helps to restore harmony in the mind, especially after chaotic or crisis type situations. Please check the links in the description box below for the best quality essential oils in my opinion. And well, Cancer, I would like to thank you for allowing me to guide you through 2021. May God bless you and keep you. May the sun shine bright on you this day and year.